And thank you to the families who are here who have lost loved ones, both who lost loved ones to violence perpetrated by immigrants, but also to those who have been seriously injured by ICE agents, and to those watching who have had family members killed by ICE agents. Madam Secretary, I want to ask you about one of the first claims you made in the immediate aftermath of the shooting of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. You accused them both, I think, within hours of engaging in domestic terrorism. You've testified earlier that you did so based on preliminary field reports. Who told you that these two victims were engaged in domestic terrorism? Where did you get that information from?
I've said before, and will repeat again for you, Senator, that those reports were coming from on-the-ground agents that were there. It was a chaotic scene.
So you spoke to agents on the ground who told you they were domestic terrorism?
Yes.
Domestic terrorists?
My team was working with me, talking to those agents on the ground to relay as much information as possible that we could to the American people.
Your team told you that people in Minneapolis said they were domestic terrorists. Did they tell you whether they had any basis for that claim within either minutes or hours of the shooting of Alex Preddy and Renee Good?
Sir, if you look back at the day of January 24th, there was a press conference earlier in the day, and then I held one hours later.
So I'm asking
and we were also
asking you, did you determine whether there was any basis for the sensational claim, a claim that proved to be utterly false, that these two victims were engaged in domestic terrorism?
There is an investigation ongoing. The FBI is leading that. There's also internal investigations that are ongoing.
I'm asking you
we'll continue to bring the facts forward.
Excuse me, Madam Secretary. I'm asking about your statements in the immediate aftermath of these shootings. Your statements based on completely unvetted information that if it was even provided to you proved to be utterly false, that you were content to tell the whole country. Do you have any concern about misleading the whole country? Don't you think in the immediate aftermath of a shooting that you should provide only vetted information to the public? How do you imagine you're going to gain the trust of the American people if you're pushing out false information about the shooting of American citizens?
I work every day to get factual information to the American
you
people.
You didn't on the day that Alex Preddy was shot. And you certainly didn't on the day Renee Good was shot. You weren't getting out good information. You were making a spurious claim that has caused endless injury to the victims' families on the basis of God knows what. And then your agency doesn't allow local investigators. They essentially push away independent investigators. How is the public to have any confidence in investigations done of excessive use by ICE agents if, number one, you make immediate and false statements about the victims, and number two, you don't let any independent agency conduct an investigation? How is the public supposed to believe anything your agency says or finds?
These investigations are being done in the same way that they always are.
No,
and the FBI is leading. There are internal investigations as well. In these situations, ICE has an internal investigation.
Excuse me.
Well, would you like to hear about the investigations that are ongoing?
Excuse me. You're not allowing state and local investigators to participate.
That is not my decision.
And furthermore,
the Department of Justice and the FBI decides how investigations go.
They're not being conducted in the way investigations are always done. Are you telling me that in the case of Miramar Martinez, that having an agent involved in shooting her, drive a vehicle that was used to ram into her vehicle, drive that vehicle, that evidence, away from the scene and 1,000 miles to Maine, you're telling me that's the way investigations are always done? That you let an agent involved in an officer-involved shooting drive a key piece of evidence 1,000 miles away? Is that how you conduct investigations at DHS?
I'm not conducting these investigations into these. The Department of Justice with the FBI is conducting those investigations, and CBP.
For how investigations are conducted when agents under your control are engaged in the use of force?
The investigations into our officers have not
I
changed
know there's a
under
great
my
desire
leadership or the
to
president's
point the
leadership than what
finger.
they
Oh,
were under the previous
that's being done by
administration.
Pam Bondi's Justice Department. I'm not responsible for that
Our internal
malpractice,
investigations
or
are following the same policies
that's the
that
orders
they
of
always
Stephen
have.
Miller, so I'm not responsible
No.
for that either. But you are responsible. You are responsible. You could insist on independent investigations, but you're not. You could wait until there's good information after a shooting before you go to the press and the public and mislead them. Let me ask you about a different subject, and that is the waste of resources at your agency, the continued allegations of favoritism and contracting, and let me in particular focus on the $220 million ad campaign, many of which feature you very prominently. An ad campaign that is more expensive than the whole budget for One Fight After Another or any Hollywood blockbuster film. So let me ask you, you said that the president approved this vast expenditure on a media campaign that largely profiles you. How do you know that? Did he approve it to you personally?
This media campaign was critical in telling the world and this country that we are enforcing the laws in the United States of America. That if you're in your country illegally, then you should leave now, or if you want the chance to come back to the United States someday in the future. If you don't, you will be detained and will be removed and never get the chance to come back. It's been extremely effective in sending the message.
Madam Secretary, how do you know the president approved of this $220 million contract?
We had conversations and worked with OMB to make sure that the funding was there.
Excuse me, I just want to clarify. So you had conversations directly with the president where he approved this $220 million ad campaign that significantly features you?
Sir, this campaign was talking about making sure that people knew that our laws were being enforced.
Again, I want to make sure that
we continue to go through the process. It was a competitive bid campaign. I had nothing of choosing.
Excuse me, so the president approved this expenditure?
Sir, I've been explaining this to you, how it, when it was a competitive process,
well,
the career officials at the Department of
I guess
Homeland Security
you don't want to
chose
confirm
the
the president's role in this, and I can understand why. But you say it was a competitive process, and yet this contract went to a company that didn't exist 2 weeks before they got the contract.
Sir, I can't speak to that. I don't know the name of that company.
You're saying you can't speak to it, but let me ask you this. Are you saying it's just a coincidence? It's just a happy circumstance? It's just a fortuitous event that $143 million of that went to a subcontractor that you worked with extensively as governor in South Dakota or during your campaign, that is just coincidental?
The same process was followed for this media contract than any other media contract that's happened.
Just a coincidence.
The Department of Homeland Security, I had nothing to do, and no political had any,
nothing to do with it.
No choosing of who the contractors, and we don't have a legal process for weighing in on subcontractors. It doesn't exist.
Excuse me, just a coincidence also then that this $143 million.
To ask questions, you should want the answers.
I'm trying to ask a question.
You're trying to say that this was a political decision, and it absolutely was not.
I'm just asking you. So it's just a coincidence that a $143 million subcontract went to the husband of your press person, also someone that Corey Lewandowski, one of your special government employees, worked with extensively. So that was all a coincidence, right? Because you had no knowledge of this, no involvement.
Media company that
and none
gets
of the
the
people
contract,
around you had any involvement.
the ability to
so
choose the
taxpayers should just
subcontractors.
assume
We don't
this
weigh
is a
in
coincidence.
on who subcontractors are. There's not a legal process for us to determine what subcontractors are a part of a contract that goes out for a competitive bid.
Can you state
and
for
only
the record,
career employees at DHS were in on the choosing of those media contracts.
Can you state for the record then that neither you nor Mr. Lewandowski nor your press secretary, married to the husband of the person who got this $143 million contract.
We were not a part of the decision-making.
Can you state for the record that none of you that I've just described had any role, played any part, made any communication with any government agency that was involved in deciding who would get that contract?
To the best of my knowledge, none of us were involved in deciding who got those contracts for the media campaign.
But were any of you involved in advocating, communicating, or expressing a preference
to my knowledge,
in
Senator,
any way
not to
with
my
the government?
knowledge,
Excuse
Senator.
me. Let me just finish the question. Were any of you involved in any way in communicating, expressing a preference in any form, manner, verbal, written, with any government agency that was involved in the contracting process?
The same process was followed for that contract that is
You're
for
not
all
answering
media
my question.
contracts that have gone forward. To my knowledge,
or no?
there was no involvement whatsoever of anybody that is on the political appointee side of this position and that media contract.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.